Good morning, my fellow yogic travelers. I'm mighty glad to be alive today, and I hope that you are too, as we continue to live, laugh, love, learn, linger, and live the life we love. My affirmation masters, they tell me that there's only a stream of well being, whether we allow it or not. And people come up with fantastic reasons for disallowing it, concoctions of why they can't feel good. And so, this is the most important thing that you may ever hear from me or anyone else. And that is real delight comes from following the path of least resistance, which means reconnecting to the source of your own life. Anything else than that pales in comparison. So they told me, take delight in the magnificence of life. Praise life at every opportunity. Change your internal vantage point and not just external circumstances. And then instead of correcting others, satisfy whatever makes you in love with life. What a difference that makes. And then remember, spirit in you ought to make you feel as happy as anybody who's ever lived. Anything less than that, got to find your connection. Today I want to talk a little bit about Michael Mead, one of my male mentors, and his take on alchemy, which is an interesting way of looking at psychological development based on the idea that they tried to make base metal into gold. That was the metaphor. That's called the prima materia. That's the gunk of your own life. How do you turn the inert material in your own life? Because there's nothing to work with except the trouble that you got in your life. So you got to ask yourself, what's the matter with me? And that's where you go. And then whether you use their images of the white, the black, and the red, meaning you heat up the Bunsen burner part of the experiment by really being into this, and then that will create a certain kind of purification in your life. And the purification will come from looking at the shadowy stuff, which the ego doesn't want to do. But creative conflict is the only thing that satisfies your soul. And the soul has its own way of keeping the wound alive, keeping the complex present. So it's interesting to know that each person carries their own suffering, their own style, their own language. They bear it differently. But it just plain hurts. Awareness hurts, there's no doubt about it. But things can be recycled into our life like manure back onto the garden. So however smelly and offensive the shit may look at one level, at another level it could provide richness and fruitfulness. So the thread of our own genius will always come through whenever we attempt something creative. So that's the first thing we want to look at here. How do you find these little redemptions in your life? By being a creative person. Well, as yoga also teaches, there's this symbolic lexicon. This is intentional language that helps you penetrate beneath the surface and not stay superficial and just talk about this stuff. Of course, not everybody's willing to see it this way because the ego doesn't want to change. And of course, that's exactly what it has to do for growth to be there and for something new to take place. But the key really is the wound that we all have is like a salt mine. And if you lick it just the right way, it'll give you the flavor of your own life. How about that as an idea? Instead of trying to get rid of it, puke it out, think it shouldn't be there, you lick it until it gives you the flavor of your own life. I love that idea. And of course, the endurance to live through it. No one's saying this is easy. It hurts. It's suffering. But you can turn it towards a spiritual benefit in your life and make you a richer, more compassionate human being as a result. So once you realize aspects of your wounds keeps you alive, keeps you looking for the way to get nourished from it instead of exhausted by it. And then it teaches you to go inside and understand both where your anger is, where you're burning red hot, and where you've turned off and gone stone cold so you don't feel. And of course, that constricts your life energy, and you don't want to do that. So how you have more delight in your life? Well, if you don't follow the path in whatever way you understand it, you regress. So once you understand the real redemption, the real salvation is doing the work in the shadowy stuff, and then always increasing your capacity to help and serve other people. So I hope that you learn from who your teacher is. And the teacher doesn't have to be a human being in form, doesn't have to be someone who's currently alive now. Anything can serve as a spot where power comes through and you experience the divine or the spirit, which exalts you. So I hope you are a true disciple, because then if you are, you will be an incarnation of whatever deity you seek.